during the creation of Sony's much-anticipated first-person shooter Killzone. Development team Guerrilla decided to take some radical steps. To ensure that futuristic warfare was believable, they took research to the extreme. Simply watching war films wasn't enough. The team had to feel and experience combat for real. Step forward one commando, a group of ex-military hardmen and experts in warfare simulation. Amongst the best in their field, they've created countless crisis scenarios used to train top military units and SWAT teams. One commando's brief was simple: create a hellish war zone that was crawling with the game's enemy soldiers, the ruthless and deadly Helghast. The objective of this exercise began as research, but quickly became one of survival. In between training, the team took time out to talk about the game.
Killzone is set in a colony planet called Vector, which is currently being invaded by an evil army called the Helghast. You start off in a city and you can basically go all the way through to jungles, mangroves, up a mountainous environment, and you finally end up in space.
Killzone offers the gamer the opportunity to play as one of 4 soldiers. Lead AI programmer Remco Straumann.
At the beginning of a level you pick one of the soldiers in your squad to play the level with, and you finish the whole level with that specific character. In the beginning of the game you will have only one character to choose from, but as your squad builds up you will get more.
You can play 4 different distinct character types: ISA Commando, a heavy weapons guy, a spy character, and also a stealth character.
Whilst creating the game, the team were faced with many challenges, as development director Ariane Brousse recalls.
The biggest challenge of the game was basically managing the ambition level of everybody. Instead of always finding out new things and always creating, at some point you just have to stop and create a game and finish it and get out of the door.
Killzone is incredibly cinematic, as lead artist Jan Bart van Beek explains.
One of the major influences of the game was actually war movies like Saving Private Ryan, series like Bands of Brothers, stuff like Black Hawk Down, and basically the great new modern war movies. And we wanted to make something that's basically not a realistic war game, but much more of a cinematic war experience. We wanted to have a very immersive feel to the whole game, and one of the things we felt could really add to the immersiveness was basically the real tactility of a gun, so that if you reloaded a gun, it would properly move and all the cocks and slides and bolts would work like a real weapon would work. So you would actually feel that it was a real weapon, and actually the reload animation had a certain purpose and a certain length that actually felt like a real weapon.
Lead visualizer Roy Postma drew influences from various sources to ensure that the Helghast are without doubt one of the most intimidating enemies ever seen on any console.
The uniforms in the Helghast are all inspired on gear and other equipment from the modern armies from the last century, actually. We just picked out all the sinister parts and combined all those things that actually created the whole style of the Helghast army. The overall look of the game, actually the whole world, we pieced it together from like interesting battles that happened in the last century. Everything that was really intense in battles, in battlefields, we actually collected all those things. You can think of like Stalingrad, Vietnam, Mogadishu, the City Slim fight. And all these things we collected, and then we wanted to put this total devastation of like World War I, the Battle of the Somme. We wanted to combine all those things, and that gave actually, well, the overall setting.
Sound director Joris de Man worked hard to ensure that the sound of the weapons matched the perfection of the game's visuals.
With the gun sounds, we really wanted to create big, impressive sounds because we wanted the sound of the guns to be really gratifying when you fire them. And so a lot of the sound in the game sort of goes for what I call hyper-realism, is where we create sounds that are actually bigger sounding than the actual gun would sound in real life, but really sort of add to the whole feeling of the gun. And also not just the firing sounds, but also the whole handling sound We've added lots of Foley bits and actual mechanical sounds that the gun has to really give the impression that it's a solid gun. Characters and races in the game have their own particular theme tune. For the Helghast, we wanted to create something different, and we really wanted to give them their own fascist theme, which you'll be hearing at the beginning of the game, to really sort of give them their own character.
Certain characters in the game perform better with specific weapons. Martin Capel, lead designer, explains why.
Each player picks a certain character to take through the game, and each character has a certain optimum playstyle. If you break that playstyle, then weapons become less effective than if you're using the ones that are more key towards your playstyle. For example, if you play stealthy and you pick up a rocket launcher, things are going to go wrong. Likewise, if you pick somebody who's big and powerful with lots of armor and firepower, and start using something that really doesn't have the punch to match that character, then again, you're going to start finding that you suffer. So the key to the game is actually working out which weapons to use. Both factions have a wide range of armaments, and during the course of the game, the player can use up to 30 weapons, including assault rifles, pistols, missile launchers, and even a range of emplaced guns. The ISA weapons are based more on accuracy and power, whereas the Helghast prefer rate of fire and sheer devastating destruction.
So adamant were the Killzone team that this game will be bigger and better than anything seen before, they even created their own custom-built engine. Lead programmer, Michiel van der Leo.
For Killzone, we decided not to use middleware like some companies use, but to develop everything in-house. We had this unique opportunity to work for just one platform for the Sony PlayStation 2, and we were making a game that was going to be a best in its genre. We decided not to go for something from the shelf, basically, because it was made for all sorts of games. We wanted to make an engine that was made specifically for Killzone and got the best out just for this game. And yeah, because we're working for Sony and they wanted us to make that game, we wrote all of the technology in-house. It took us more time, but the quality is definitely much better than you can get from just using another engine which is also capable of making other games.
Each member of the Killzone team has fully immersed themselves in the world of futuristic warfare, to an extent some would call insane. The end result, though, is a title which will leave the player blown away.